Farm. Glad you're here. Okay, I needed something to put my hair up because it was driving me crazy. Yesterday we got 3 new chickens. Actually, we picked up 5 chickens, but 2 went to my mom and 3 came to my house. And so I've been monitoring them, trying to make sure that they aren't getting beat up too bad. And I tried to keep them separate, and one of them got loose, and then trying to re-catch them and put them up is just impossible. So we're just gonna roll with it. If I see them freaking out on each other, then I will probably end up separating them again. But for now, they're doing fine. 2 are right here. I don't know where the 3rd one is. So I got a white leghorn, a black Jersey giant. Oh, and the other one is right here. And I got a barred rock. Right there. Whoa, there's a bird in here. Bevo, you be nice. You be nice to those girls. Bella. So they need new names. Trixie, be nice. You be nice to those girls. What is it, Trixie? As I am trying to wake up. Ugh. Sorry. I feel like I have... Trixie's yelling at me. I don't know why. I feel like I haven't got enough sleep lately, and I should have slept in, but I didn't. So, I'm out here in the garden. I watered last night. Everything's watered. I can take you around and show you everything, or I can take you around and show you everything that's recycled, reclaimed, reused, repurposed, all the re's, and show you what we did with it. Starting right here outside of my garden. Here goes the new girl, and then Betty. Betty, leave her alone. So this right here is like a little children's desk, and I actually picked this up off the side of the road in Denton, I believe. Was it Denton? No, this was Haslett. Picked this one up in Haslett, Texas, on my route, and couldn't let it go. And yeah, it's been moved around here a few times, but right now it just sits out in the front of my garden for a place for me to set my stuff down when I'm trying to open the gate. So it works out really well. Then right next to this, right next to the desk, are these little apartment mailboxes. And I decided to make them into planters. I actually took them to one of my craft shows, a couple of my craft shows actually, and tried to sell them, and they didn't sell. So I brought them home. I actually dug out a spot of the ground, that way they wouldn't tip over, filled them with dirt, and planted them. And this is where they live, outside the front of my garden. So just as like an example, like those apartment mailboxes were literally by a dumpster, just waiting for me to pick them up. So everything I pick up, I have a couple of things, right? Okay, so when I look for things to pick up, I look for wood, I look for metal, I look for concrete, or like ceramic or terracotta. Things that I know that are not going to hold germs. I'm not going to pick up a couch with like fabric, or a chair with fabric, unless I'm ripping the fabric off, because fabric holds a lot of germs and dead skin cells, and I can't get over that. So I typically will not pick up things ringling on the little desk. I typically will not pick up things that have fabric. At least I try not to. So I like to stick to those, the wood, the metal, concrete, things like that. So, and when I pick things up off the side of the road, they have to be on the side of the road. You can't be like stealing people's stuff. Like you need to make sure that it's on the curb. Their intention was to get rid of it, because otherwise it can get kind of a situation. Okay, you've seen this bench in other videos when I was adding the polyacrylic to it, and since then my sweet potato has taken over my bench in my garden. But this bench I actually picked up off the side of the road in Denton as well. I mean, I say in Denton because that's where I work, in Denton, but most of the stuff was from Denton. Anyway, so they were throwing this out and it's still in good condition. All I did was sand it down, and then I put a light stain on it just to kind of brighten up the color, and then I put the polyacrylic on it to seal it. I put a few coats of the polyacrylic, but it's a good bench. It's probably a good, like, I don't know, 5-foot bench. It's nice. Since I'm out here showing you everything that is reclaimed, I might show you a couple pieces of my yard art as well, and kind of tell you where I got that. Like I said before, we go to Antique Alley twice a year. My brain. Um, Once in April and then once in September, and I've picked up quite a bit from there as well. These two decorative pieces in my garden I picked up from Antique Alley. It's just like a piece of a fence, and I just stuck them right here in the middle of my bed just as a little bit of decoration. This sweet girl I picked up at Ace Hardware. She's a concrete statue and she's heavy, and I love her. This birdhouse I also picked up from Antique Alley for super cheap. This birdhouse I actually made out of scrap wood. My kids one day wanted to have a birdhouse and we didn't have one, and so I just made one. I did have to replace the roof on it once already, but it's just cedar pickets, cedar fence pickets, and we've already had a family of birds in there and had babies, and it's worked out well. This tobacco basket that is behind my watering can here, I actually picked up from a garage sale in Denton, and she gave me a heck of a deal on it, so I'm glad I picked it up. I used it for a while for harvesting produce, but then I just liked the way it looked, and since I've left it out here, it's actually bleached in the sun, so it's a lot lighter than the color that I picked it up at the beginning. But yeah, I just really like it, so I just pair it with my watering can, and it sits right there in my garden. Right next to my raised bed, I have this green bench. It's actually more like a stool kind of thing. This was in a pile of trash, a wood pile of trash, I should say, where they were redoing something in their house and they decided to just pile up all the old wood. And I couldn't resist. I didn't even do anything to it. I just brought it home, and this is just like a 2x6, I guess, or a 2x10 piece of wood, and they just made a little stool out of it. Actually, I have no idea what it was supposed to be in the beginning, but for me, it serves as a little potting stool, or like a weed pulling stool. I really like it, and it was already green, and I just left it. I do have this giant spool that I put caster wheels on, and I'm pretty sure I picked this up off the side of the road. I've actually had this for quite a while. We had this at the old house, but I'm pretty sure I picked it up off the side of the road because I would not pay for a spool, because there are so many businesses and residentials that are just getting rid of the wooden spools, and you can find them for free everywhere. But this one works out good for me because it's on wheels, like I said, so I can just roll it around and use it wherever I need it. My potting soil here that I use is in a basin of some kind, and this one I actually picked up off my father-in-law's property. They were just so gracious to gift it to me, and so I just use it as a big bucket for my dirt. Okay, this bird bath here I did not pay for. This was actually picked up in college, believe it or not. I've had this since probably 2008, 2009. I used to clean houses in college, and I was so I was excited because everything that the previous owner or tenant left behind was kind of fair game, and it was either going to the dump or it was going to me. And so I picked up this bird bath, and I've had it ever since. The bird bath, I actually, when I picked it up and I brought it home, I moved 7 times in college. Fun fact, 7 times I moved. And it traveled with me to each house, each apartment. And I kept it because I knew one day I would have the right spot for it. I've been picking stuff up off the side of the road my entire life. And it actually leaked. This bird bath, it leaked. And so I've had to patch it a few times, try to patch it. It still kind of leaks, but every now and then it gets enough like mold and fungus and whatever's in there and it holds water. Right next to the bird bath is this old window pane that I actually accidentally busted a piece of window out. This one I think I picked up in Salado. There is a little antique store slash nursery, and they sell windows like this, old windows for super cheap, like $10. I'm currently battling a aphid infestation. You can see all those little dots there are aphids. All the shiny bits are like aphid poop. And they're basically taking over my watermelon and my pumpkin. So I've sprayed yesterday with BT. We're going to see if that knocks the population down at all. But I can see like they are still moving. They're still very active. This one might not be good. So the thing with aphids is they reproduce faster than you can kill them. So when you get an aphid infestation and it gets out of control, your best bet is just to rip up the plants. I'm going to try BT, I'm going to try neem oil, and I'm going to try to combat these aphids. But if I can't, that's going to be what I'm going to have to do. I'm going to have to rip up this entire watermelon and probably all my pumpkins because they're on all of my pumpkins on my trellis. And I will probably cry. This metal basin thing I picked up off the side of the road. Somebody was getting rid of it, and I thought this would be perfect for my garden. My kid was cooking rice or grass in there yesterday. I did pick up this metal cart from Antique Alley one year. I think actually this previous year. And it works perfect, and then it actually inspired me to paint my chicken coop orange, like a mustard orange. I have 2 of these little step ladders, and I'm pretty sure both of them came off the side of the road, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. One may have come from Antique Alley, but I have one right here, and I have one in the chicken run. These metal containers I picked up from First Monday in Bowie, Texas, with my mother-in-law, and I didn't have a place for them for the longest time. I've actually had these since the old house and never really had a good spot for them because they are heavy as sin. And then one day I decided to go ahead and put them on my chicken coop, and they've been there ever since, and they are working out just wonderful. One thing you will see around my garden is a lot of terracotta pots. That's Henry. I was driving in Denton delivering my packages and came across a residence that had several, like 10, I think, terracotta pots, 8 to 10 terracotta pots sitting out in front of their house, flipped upside down, dirt all in them, um, just piled up. And I was like, I can't pass that up. So, yes, I pulled over with my FedEx truck, threw them all in there, and then put them in my garden. These crates, plastic crates here, I actually took out of a dumpster behind a grocery store. Um, I mean, if they're in the dumpster, they're fair game. There was other trash in there. It wasn't like a specific plastic crate dumpster. So, yes, I went dumpster diving for these plastic crates. And they work out good for me because I can put all of my extra pots in there and then my bedding. Already seen in previous videos, but the classic outdoor nest box here that somebody handmade and threw out, I actually repurposed it into a nest box for my chickens. So, as you can see, I have repurposed, where are you? I have repurposed, reclaimed, recycled, reused so many things within my garden, and I'm sure there's more that I missed. Small things, probably. Just things that were on the side of the road or somebody was throwing out, and I decided to save it and give it another life because that's what I do. I mean, what better way to add personal touches to either your house, and that's a whole nother story. If you go in my house, most all the furniture has been picked up off the side of the road, and I've redone it, or I've refinished it in one way or another, and we are now using it on an everyday basis. But what better way to add those personal touches and unique things to your house that you're not going to just go out and find at, the big box stores? So, my advice to you is when you are driving anywhere, to just keep an open eye for things that are on the side of the road. And if you're like me, you might have to smack your husband a few times to pull over and to stop and let you look. But sometimes you just, that's what you have to do. I set my coffee down on the spool of all places and came back to it, and there was ants crawling all of it. So I had to knock off all the ants. Now I get to drink it. It's probably because I put a little extra honey in there today. It is good though. Yesterday I ran off and left my coffee. Didn't even get to have any. Big mistake. I had a headache. So, those are just some of the things that I look for when I'm picking stuff up. Can't talk. Yeah. So, like I said, a couple tips for deciding if what you're picking up is worth your time. Hey, you need to calm down. Hey, quit. You leave those girls alone. My new girls are being mean to my new girls. Vicious cycle. So my couple of tips for picking stuff up. I don't know why I can't get those words out. It's very hard for me this morning. When you pick stuff off the side of the road, messed it up again. What I look for are things that you can easily clean, that you can refinish and kind of get the surface level off without destroying what you are picking up. So i.e. wood, that you can sand down, you can bring home, you can repaint it, or you can stain it and seal it. All these things are going to protect you, I guess, from the germs and different things that may be lying on it that we don't know about. Because if it's on the side of the road, somebody put it out there for a reason, all right? Either they don't want it, or they had an accident with something and something gross is on it, or whatever. I'm telling you, I've seen it all, okay? But very distracting with these chickens. But if it's wood, you can bring it home. You can sand it, paint it, stain it, seal it, whatever you want to do, whatever look you're going for. And it is now brand new to you. It is now working for you in a different way that maybe the previous owner didn't think of. And a lot of times, if I'm being totally honest, I want to pick stuff up, refinish it, redo it, and set it back and in the resident's like front yard or whatever, front door, front porch, and be like, hey, you threw this out and this is what I did with it, and now I want to give it back to you and say, look, this is what it could have been, enjoy it. But I think that would be kind of weird. And they would probably be like, no, I was getting rid of that because I don't have room for it, or I was getting rid of that because it has a bad memory or whatever, and then it would backfire completely. But I do have that thought a lot. Another type of material that you are probably safe, I guess, to pick up would be metal, because you can always clean metal. You can spray it, you can degrease it, you can do whatever. You can actually paint it or seal it. So metal is another great one to pick up and to just keep your eye out for. I don't know who that was. Almost sounded like a rooster for a minute. I question sometimes if one of my girls are going to be a rooster. Maybe she identifies as a rooster. Anyway, so wood, metal. Another thing is concrete. I actually picked up 2 bird baths. One was in college, which is this one that's in my garden, and the other one I picked up actually in Trophy Club, I want to say, Texas. And I actually spoke to those homeowners. They were throwing 2 bird baths out. These chickens are going nutty. And I actually talked to her and I was like, are you getting rid of these? Like, are you sure? And I was in a FedEx truck and she was like, yes. And I'm like, okay. I was like, well, do you mind if I take it? She's like, no. She's like, have at it. She's like, we were getting rid of it because it was a mosquito catcher basically for us. And they didn't want to deal with having mosquitoes and standing water. And I'm like, hey, I understand that. I completely get it. But also I'm going to take it because I don't mind that kind of thing, because I don't keep my bird baths filled all the time and I'm constantly changing them out. So for me, it was not an issue. So I should have taken both, but I could have only gotten one in my vehicle because they were really, really heavy. It was probably double the size of this, and it's actually sitting in my front yard. So thankful for that lady who didn't want to deal with mosquitoes, but her loss is my gain, and I appreciate that. So wood, metal, concrete. Terracotta would be under concrete, I feel like. Anything that has like a more like porous surface, I guess, you would say. I don't really know. But like terracotta, like I said, I picked up all of those terracotta pots and terracotta saucers off the side of the road that they were just getting rid of. I think it was actually a new tenant that moved in, and the previous tenant probably left them all and they were like, didn't want to deal with it because there was terracotta out there, there was plastic out there. Now I would have picked up the plastic, but plastic erodes over time and cracks, and I just didn't want to deal with the plastic. So I only took the terracotta. Things that I know that if I take, because for me, it's kind of a lot. I have to put it in my vehicle. I have to take it back to Fort Worth. I have to then take it through security, through my job. And then I have to carry it from security down the parking lot to my car. So it's kind of an ordeal. So when I pick stuff up, I need to know that it's worth my time, that it's worth my energy to get it back to my house, because otherwise it would be worthless. I don't know. It would be a waste of my time. And I don't want it to be a waste of my time. So I need to make sure that what I'm picking up is of value to me, if that makes sense. Anyway, yeah, I don't think there's anything else that is down here. Like I said, most everything is up at the house, furniture-wise, because everything's so built crappy these days. So when you pick up furniture, I feel like a few things that I like to look for are like the dovetail, like seam, basically, like where like the drawer comes together. If you see that dovetail on the side, you know that it's quality, it's good, because they don't make them like that anymore. At least not at Target or at Home or Home Goods or anything like that. So that's what I look for. One of the things that I look for are the dovetail. Another one that I look for is the wooden caster wheels, the wooden wheels, because then you know, like it's like an antique. It's somebody crafted those wood wheels. And everything, when you pick up stuff like that, like it tells a story, right? So I don't know what story it was, and a lot of times I'm taking off that story and I'm putting a new story on. I have redone a lot of furniture, but it's something that I value and I like, because, for instance, my kid needed a nightstand, and I went with my mom. We went to Target, we went to Home Goods, we went to At Home, we went to all those places. And yes, they had nightstands, but were they made quality? No. And were they like super outrageously expensive? Yes. And I'm not paying for that. And I was like, Mom, look, I was like, just wait a week, wait 2 weeks. I was like, I will find a nightstand on the side of the road and I will redo it. And I'm actually fixing to do that today. I found one a week later and decided, yep, I can make that one work. It had the dovetail. And I knew that I needed to pick it up, so I did. Picked it up, threw it in my FedEx truck, and then brought it home with me and instantly ordered. I like to use Fusion mineral paint. I feel like it's the easiest paint to work with when refinishing old furniture like that, because it has more of a grip to it, and I don't have to prime it. So it's a very nice. Is it expensive? Yes, it is very expensive. But is it worth it? Absolutely. Most everything in my house, furniture-wise, is painted with Fusion mineral paint, because I know that I don't have to worry about it. I just throw a couple coats on it, and then that's it. And it will last me years. So to me, it's worth the investment. And I went ahead and I ordered the navy blue. I forget what the actual color is called, but it's navy blue. And I ordered the gold hardware off of Amazon. So I'm going to actually redo that today, and you'll see. Here is the piece that I picked up. It's just a little nightstand. I'm fixing to paint it. I'm prepping it right now, getting it ready for paint and new hardware. This is the paint that I'm going to use. This is Fusion mineral paint, Willow Bank. It's kind of like a navy blue situation. So I'm not even going to sand. I'm just going to start painting. But yeah, so don't be afraid to pull over, to take a closer look at things that people have put out as trash, because it may be trash to them, but it may not be trash to you. You might see it in a different light, in a different way, and figure out a way to make it work specifically for you and your family. So don't be afraid. Don't feel shameful because That's a part of it. It's recycling somebody's trash into your treasure. No shame. You will never have any shame from me. So get in that dumpster, dig through that trash. Just keep your eyes on a swivel whenever you're driving down roads. When I'm driving through neighborhoods, I'm constantly looking down every single road, trying to see if there's anything I need to turn around for or go take a closer look at, just in case. But if you're like me and you already pick up stuff off the side of the road, or you go dumpster diving, or you go to antique stores or thrift stores, garage sales, anything like that, feel free to share your finds with me. I want to see what you've picked up and how much you paid for it, if you paid anything at all for it, because sometimes you can find such a great deal, such a steal. And it's exciting. It's like a thrill to see what you can get for the least amount of money. I just want to give a quick shout out to Hoffmans Poultry in Bowie, Texas. If you are in the surrounding areas, Decatur, Bowie, Paradise, Springtown, all of those areas, and you're eating chickens, specifically pullets, Hoffmans is the place to go. Justin is an incredible guy, and he's been so helpful through my little chicken journey. And it's where I get all my chickens from. I think I've shopped one other place to get chickens, but most all of my chickens, except for maybe 3, have come from Hoffmans Poultry. And I really appreciate him and helping me and being my little chicken dealer, if you will. So if you're in the area and you're needing chickens, go check him out. He has all different types of breeds. He's got a spreadsheet on Facebook that he posts, so look him up on Facebook. It's very easy to figure out, and then you kind of just decipher on what age you want to pick them up. I usually pick my chickens up when they're 12 weeks old because I feel like I'm introducing them to a new flock. I don't want to overwhelm them with all these big girls, and then they're like little babies. So I try to get them as old as I can, which is going to be 12 weeks, so I can introduce them to my existing flock. But hopefully one day I'll get an interview with Justin over at Hoffmans Poultry, and I'll be able to share more of his setup and how he does things, and what he's all about. He also does plant starts. He has, I forget what it's called, it's like Hoffman's Plants or something like that. So he does plant starts as well. So if you're in the market for either plants or chickens, be sure to check him out. He's just been a super great resource as far as finding chickens and kind of helping me decide how many for the space I have. And then also when I have issues, I know I can reach out to him and he can kind of help me decipher what's going on. Thank you for hanging out with me today in my garden, looking at all my aphids and all of my reclaimed, repurposed things that I've picked up. Anyway, I hope it encourages you to give somebody else's trash a try, a chance. Don't be afraid. Just pick it up, repurpose it, refinish it to something that works for you. Be sure to subscribe, hit that like button if you like our videos. We absolutely appreciate you guys watching and hanging out with us. So we'll see you next time.